Here's to whiskey kisses, the peachy taste of sin.
It's whiskey time.
Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud. I'm your host, as ever, Adam Bradshaw, and this handsome gentleman is Brian Hott.
Hi.
We've dragged him out of the store. He's up here to enjoy some whiskey. You might recognize him from a couple of times. He likes to sneak up sometimes on a Sunday afternoon and see what's going on, which, you can't blame him. If there's an Outturn happening, it's a very exciting event. So we had Hart on last month. I think we're going to try and work our way through all of the store stuff. So same questions I asked Hart as I'm going to ask to you.
Excellent.
What's your favorite, either color, flavor profile, or if you have like a favorite number?
Color, brown.
Oh yeah, you like the deep rich and dried fruit ones. Yeah. Well, you're in luck tonight. There's a few goodies for that.
Two. Yeah.
Nice. Any particular bottling stand out that you've had before? Any weird name that you remember fondly? Or
I think the last one I had that I can still remember was bodybuilders in ballerina gowns.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was the last one. Yeah.
Fun.
Cool.
Brian is obviously a member of our team here at the Strath Liquor Merchants. He has the very important job of making sure you guys can actually buy the whiskey after the tastings. So thank you for organising that, Brian.
No sweat.
But you've been in the industry quite a while, eh?
30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Have you always enjoyed whiskey, or is it a relatively new thing?
No, late to the game.
Yeah.
I got hired in the industry when I was young. No palate, no nothing. Scared of it. And then, and especially since I started here, it really, really expanded.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, whiskey expansion is what we do. We love showing and sharing new things, which is why we love the SMWS so much, because we get 7 new things pretty much every month. And this is quite the interesting lineup. Before we get going, a couple of announcements for upcoming tastings. Of course, this is the September Outturn. October Outturn tickets will go on sale at the same time this video gets launched on YouTube. So you can head to strathliquor.com/SMWS right now to buy tickets for Thursday, the 3rd of October. And Sunday, the 6th of October. There are tastings. But we're also doing a very special... We've been doing dinners recently, but we're changing the formula a bit. We're going to do a luncheon. We're going to do an SMWS lunch on Saturday, October the 5th. So if you want to join us for I don't know, sandwiches, I guess. I'm not quite sure what the menu is going to be yet. I'll figure that out in the next day or two.
Sandwich and scotch doesn't sound bad.
It sounds great to me.
Yeah.
On a Saturday afternoon, I think it's going to be a wonderful, relaxed experience. So please join us for that. But on top of that, October is officially SMWS month here at the Strath. We are showcasing not just the Outturn, but 2 extra special events as well, because the SMWS is joining forces with Whiskey Folk, our own club here, to do 2 more tastings. We're doing a special SMWS sherry cask only tasting.
Yum.
Yeah, Brian might want to come to that one. Thursday the 10th, where we'll enjoy several SMWS sherried whiskies and some sherry, and a short documentary put out by the SMWS on their use of sherry casks with the society. We might even have the bar open afterwards as well. I'm trying to figure out the logistics of that, but that might be a thing. Stay tuned. And then on Sunday the 20th, the Whiskey Folk Classic tournaments are back with an SMWS tournament. So we will have 8 semi-randomly selected SMWS bottlings going head-to-head, and you guys get to discover which one the best is. But right here today, we are going to enjoy the September Outturn, and it all starts with some sage advice. Never judge a dram by its colour.
True.
The first thing we noticed pouring the samples was the very pale colour, which would indicate very little influence from the cask, but far from it, as warm oaky vanilla notes met citric fruits such as kiwi and lime, as well as floral aromas and Millefiori? Not familiar with that word.
Oh, let's put these glasses on.
Yeah, Millefiori. Whatever that is.
Must be some sort
honey.
of flower.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah. Must be some kind of flower, because honey is the next word, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds interesting. This was fresh and clean with plenty of zing on the palate, like a wake-up call with the sweetness of a marble chiffon cake. Plus cocoa and vanilla swirls in the background. Water added a New York lemon cheesecake, elderflower and rhubarb pavlovas, and spicy gooseberry chutney on the nose. Let's pause for the pop. Nice. A squeaking pop. I love a squeaker. The taste had a peppery cinnamon spiciness combined with menthol sweetness and a hoppy finish. Hoppy, yeah, that's interesting.
Okay.
It's not a beer cask. All right, so this is a Highland whiskey. It's cask 60.36 from a second fill ex-bourbon barrel. It was matured for 9 years after being distilled on the 3rd of April 2014. They got 224 bottles out of it and an ABV of exactly 59%. Nifty. That's a healthy dram. I'll take half of that.
Brian's first time. I'm new. Give me a break.
It's all right. Brian's actually off work as soon as we finish this video, so he can have as much as he wants.
I did not. I wanted to make it look good.
That's fair. Good. Look good for the camera.
The color.
Yeah,
look at that color.
Did you know that actually that's the origin of chill filtration? It's so that whiskey looked good on camera in Hollywood.
No, I did not
because
know that.
they always put ice cubes in the whiskey to make it look good. Before Hollywood, no one put ice in their whiskey. That's a silly thing to do. But it kind of looks a bit shitty on camera without ice cubes in it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's an enticing nose. Soft, almost like powdered donuts.
Yeah. But like a lemon donut, like a lemon jelly donut.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely right. The colour doesn't look particularly exciting. But never judge a dram by its colour, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, lemon's a good call on that. It reminds me of is it Greens or something? There's a brand of like flavored sparkling waters. They have a lemon and elderflower one. Comes in like a green glass bottle.
Ooh, yeah, the long thin one.
Yeah,
I'm blanking out on it. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
It'll come to us, of course, when
eventually.
we're done. Yeah.
But yeah, the lemon and elderflower soda is certainly something I'm getting more so on the palate than the nose.
Yes, definitely. Not too hot. Fun for the what was the strength
59,
again?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's pretty beefy for ABV. That's nice.
Nice finish too.
And I have to say, I think this is the second time in the last year that we've had a whiskey from this distillery in the SMWS. It's one that I kind of just not written off, but mostly just ignored from official bottlings. I had them a couple of times, and they're a little boring. But as soon as I had that last SMWS, it kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities that could come from this distillery. And that's a wonderful thing about single cask, right? It's always something a little different. Where'd the lid go?
Oh, the lid's right
here.
Right. Yeah, no.
I suddenly noticed it wasn't. I was
here
going to pick up the bottle. I was like, whoa.
No, right here. Here's all the stuff.
Cool. I thought this was a ploy for you to.
No,
we must finish the bottle now.
Oh no, lost the top. We're not at a stag party or something.
No, not yet,
Not
at
a
least.
bachelor. Yeah.
So yeah, this is a really interesting distillery. So my trivia for the distilleries this month. This is a theme that I'm going on right now of it's okay to be wrong. Even if you've had strongly held opinions that you've vocalized quite heavily, it's okay to go back on those opinions when given new information. And that's a solid life lesson for us all, and it's one that I'm embracing right now.
Yeah, with more than just scotch.
Well, yeah, it's absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So one thing that I would always say is water. What the water source of the water is scotch is just marketing bollocks. It doesn't matter where the water comes from. And the key thing for that was, like, have you ever had distilled water, Brian?
Yes.
Yeah, the whole point is nothing. Like, once you distill it, like, why would it matter what it started off as?
Whatever.
Yeah. So why does it matter? It matters to a certain extent what water you're using to, like, bring the ABV down. So, like, for official bottlings that are 40%, that water matters, I guess. Not to a huge degree, because still, like, the tiny amounts of flavour that are in the water are going to get masked by the whiskey. You assume, at least.
We don't want bog water.
You don't want bog water, yeah. You want at least clean water. That's kind of the minimum.
Yeah.
But, like, how hard or soft the water in, or whether the water's got peat in it, or, you know, where the water comes from, I always kind of thought was just romanticized bollocks. Turns out I was wrong. Because there's one part of the whole process that I didn't really take into account. Well, the type of water that you use doesn't really matter for distillation, but it has a huge impact on fermentation.
Okay.
So if you use soft or hard water, it impacts how the yeast works, how well it works, and what kind of flavors it draws out from the barley.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right? And then I've never really taken that into account.
I always thought, because with beer, the water's important. You can't brew some European beer and use... You can have the ingredients, but you use our water, it's going to taste different. It's not going to be
and it's mostly because of how it interacts with the yeast.
Yeah.
And of course, yeast is a hugely important thing in making whiskey. So yeah, I was wrong. I'm very sorry to all of the marketing departments out there that like to tout where the water comes from. And today I'm going to tell you where all of the water comes from in all of these distilleries.
Excellent.
So today, this distillery, they draw their water from the Piccadilly Burn, which is known for its purity and also traces of gold. There's gold panning in the Burn, which is kind of fun.
Goldschlager.
Yeah, this is Goldschlager whiskey, yeah. There's little flecks of gold in the whiskey. Yeah. No, but it does give the whiskey often is referred to as the golden dram because of that, which is kind of fun. Yeah. And it is a whiskey that's been around for a long time as official bottling. It's Aberfeldy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is fairly
doers,
common.
right?
Yeah, the heart of doers. That's the next thing. It says backbone in my notes, but close enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
I would say you're correct though, because the heart is more important than the backbone. You can live without a spine. You can't live without a heart.
True that.
Wouldn't be a great life without a spine. But yeah, let's give it a little tester with some water. You should have a little red water jug there.
You betcha.
This is the part that Hart was very good at reminding me to do last week. I often forget about the water. Or last month. So, yeah, for those at home who are wondering about adding water to the whiskey, every so often I remember to tell you about the effects of that. It's twofold, right? First of all, you are reducing the amount of alcohol content, which means theoretically you might be able to taste it a little easier without so much alcohol burn. But also it releases the whiskey in a sense as well. A lot of the flavor compounds known as fatty esters and some of the other compounds clump together in the whiskey, but they're water soluble. So by adding a little bit of water, it separates them, which technically gives them more surface area, which gives you more access to the flavors on the tongue. So whiskey generally actually gets more flavorful after a couple of drops of water.
Really honeyed, like really open it up with the...
the honey and oats on the nose.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting because it's specifically honey. It's not just sweet. It's not just sugar. It's definitely honey.
But like you said, like maybe honey on an oat cake.
That
would be...
Potentially
lovely.
Meal Fury honey on an oat cake.
Oh.
That is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah. So much more with a little splash. What is it? Is it telling us actually now?
So water added New York lemon cheesecake and elderflower and rhubarb pavlovas. It's a little bit like those rhubarb and candies I brought in. I don't know if you had one of those yet.
Yeah, no, I did. I had one of the soft ones.
Nice. Spicy gooseberry chutney. It's funny as well, because honestly, I read these notes sometimes, and there's so much information, I can't hold it all, but there's part of me that definitely influences what I taste, because I don't remember reading elderflower, but I definitely got that elderflower water soda tasting note.
Yeah.
Right?
That's great. Well, it's kind of... Then you're not sort of prejudicing yourself to thinking it's supposed to be there, right?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
kinda like-
But there's some things like these notes are from a whole panel of people's experiences, and you're not
Yeah.
expected to find all of them. It's just a sort of a guide, a map, if you will, of what to look for yourself. So I'm not finding kiwi, for example.
No.
And it's a flavor that I quite like. It'd be nice if I did find kiwi, but I'm not finding it today. That being said, if I had this exact same whiskey tomorrow, maybe I'd find kiwi. Because when you get a bottle of whiskey, you're not getting 25 of the same drink. You're getting 25 completely different experiences for every ounce.
True.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be terrified either, because I remember when I first started to learn how to taste, and people are like, I get this and I get that, and you're like, I'm
Yeah.
not getting it, like, but
You're getting it.
it'll
You just,
open up.
it's just the trick is not tasting. Everyone can taste. Well, some people can't, and that's a tragedy. But most everyone can taste. What people find hard is putting words to the flavors.
True
That's the
that.
hard bit, the connection. Yeah, and that gets easier, frankly, the more you eat and drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you only ever eat craft dinner, then you're not going to be able to have a great time tasting beers and wines.
Though
and
craft
whiskeys,
dinner
but-
is
it is
maybe
delicious.
once a year. Yeah, maybe once a year.
But yeah, so Aberfeldy,
was
great little
lovely.
distillery. This one is available right now in theory because we only got one case of most of these. They're in short supply and high demand right now. But if we didn't sell out at the tastings, you'll find it online at strathliquor.com/SMWS for the handsome price of $159.91, which is a great price,
I think
especially for the
that's-
SMWS. Yeah,
You don't find anything for that price normally.
No, this is
Yeah.
one of the lowest prices we've seen recently for a single cask whiskey from anyone. Never mind the SMWS. All right, next up we have
Promise to pour properly. I'll pour a little bit.
That's all right. Lawnmowers run amok in an orchard. And I'll show Brian this afterwards. But the artwork you're seeing right now on the screen, I asked, but there's a bit of a theme. I don't know if you saw on the entrance, there's a theme of almost like a Wish You Were Here thing, because it's the gathering right now in Scotland. So I asked AI this month to create classic illustrated postcards with prompts based on the names of these whiskies. So that's what you're seeing on screen right now. They're
Wish You Were
quite
Here
fun.
is Floyd.
That's a great
Pink
Floyd song, yeah. Maybe I should
definitely.
put that as the outro music today,
Yeah.
although that might be copyrighted.
Yeah, true.
All right.
Might get in trouble.
Yeah. Lawnmowers run amok in an orchard. Cool. The exuberant nose recalled all the fruit candies of the world. Jelly babies, gummy bears, fruit gums, etc. Cassis, pink lady apples, and cherry blossom. The palate, with a sparkly tingle of joy, brightened our lives with bubblegum, rhubarb, pineapple, and Norwegian apple and grape soda, plus hints of Garibaldi biscuits, ice cream, and chocolate chip cookies. Now, Brian, you're probably one of the few staff members that might have ever had a Garibaldi biscuit before. Do you remember those?
Yes, the raisiny ones.
Yeah.
I buy them for my father. He loves them. It's like he loves Eccles cakes. He loves the Garibaldi. I totally know what you're talking about.
Do you know what we call Garibaldis in Yorkshire?
No.
Dead fly biscuits.
That's
Does it
what
look
I
like
call
big dead
raisin toast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And my mom being from Northern Yorkshire also then moved to Newcastle. So you just nailed everything my mom loves at the beginning with jelly babies, gummy bears, fruit gums, cassis. It's like, hey,
I should send your mum a sample.
oh my gosh, nothing like a black wine gum, cassis.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. The reduced nose had orange peel, juniper, banana bread, dried apricots, and lawnmowers running amok in an orchard. The palate now had Danish pastries, vanilla, mellow calvados, and juicy pomegranate, then a slightly chalky finish with suspicions of cinnamon and licorice. Suspicious cinnamon, I like
Suspicion.
that. So,
I'm interested about the apple pop.
Yeah.
They used to have this apple pop in Canada called Alpine,
Oh, yeah.
right, a long time ago. And the only apple pop I ever see now is Fairways, and it's from China. And it's kind of in apple pop.
Yeah,
Apple
there's a
pop.
popular brand in the UK. I think it was called Appletizers.
Okay, yeah, like we don't
Yeah.
really do. But then in England, didn't they have there's an apple? Is it quash? What's a squash?
Yeah.
But they have an apple blackcurrant one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Robinton's apple blackcurrant. Oh.
Yeah. So that's So maybe we'll.
And apple tango as well. An apple flavored tango.
Okay.
All right, so this is a Speyside whiskey. We're looking at cask 39.288 here. It's a first fill ex-bourbon barrel, so probably a lot more cask influence on this one as well. It's for 11 years too. From the 5th of December 2011, they got 218 bottles at 61.3, so we're looking at higher proof than the last one as well.
I smell all the candy at the beginning.
Yeah, specifically like the cornstarch that is on candy to me, weirdly enough. Yeah, it's the cornstarch on a jelly baby.
Yeah, like the chalky. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was thinking. Like that white sort of.
That's weird.
Weird but interesting.
Yeah.
Visions of little gummy bears dancing around the rim.
That'd be a good thing for AI. I could do that. That's very apple-y.
Yeah. I don't know about the pink lady. I'm trying to... But yeah.
It's more the Calvados of it all. That's
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
You know what? The first ever non-whiskey spirit that the SMWS released was
it Calvados?
No, it was an English apple brandy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
From, I think, the West Country.
So would that be like more the Scrumpy or Sizer?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what kind of cider they make it from, but like Scrumpy is the popular style in that part of the world.
In that part of the world, yeah. Okay.
Love a Scrumpy. All right, so the water source for this distillery is, if I can read my own writing, I think it says Milbuie Loch or Milbuis Loch. I think that's UIS. I don't know. I scribbled it down at lunchtime, sorry. Anyway, it's a source of soft water, which makes the yeast more effective and more consistent. When you use soft water in a whiskey, flavors tend to end up a little more fruity and sometimes floral. This distillery is considered to be an A1 blending ingredient by the industry due to its versatility and consistency. It is used primarily in Johnny Walker, but also in White Horse, Hague, Dewar's, and Bell's.
I haven't seen White Horse in ages.
I don't think it's exported anymore.
Yeah,
I saw it in the UK when I was over there.
Yeah.
We were talking about White Horse at a tasting recently. It always reminds me. Are you familiar with Richard Thompson, the folk singer?
Yes.
Yeah. He has one of my favorite lyrics of his in the song "Bees Wing." He's describing this like free-spirited, like hippie girl, and describes her as having white horse in her hip pocket and a wolfhound at her feet.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a great song. Incredible guitar work. So, cask 39.288, Lawnmowers Run Amok in an Orchard. This is a Linkwood. A fantastic distillery that you rarely see as a single malt these days. Primarily, as I mentioned, because it being classified as an A1 blending ingredient. They don't have enough to go around for single malts. It's all used in the blends. Because despite, single malts being the most romanticized style of Scotch whiskey, it's not the most money-making. Blended whiskey still, I think, is 85% or maybe even more than that of the market. Oh, that is good, though. Interesting. I'm getting more of a vanilla-y, biscuity side of things now. Danish pastries. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of took away all the fruit that I was looking at in the candy and stuff.
Yeah, it'll probably come back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this one, we only got one case. You might be lucky enough to find it still available at strathliquor.com/SMWS. And if you are lucky enough to find it still, it's $191.22. Again, sub $200 for an 11-year-old single cask Linkwood from Speyside. Beautiful little whiskey.
I want to find this Norwegian apple and grape soda now. I'm looking that up.
Off to Norway.
Yeah, no doubt.
The next whiskey I'm really excited about because Kelly and Rob don't always get to try all of these whiskies in advance. They're kind of going off of the recommendations of the society sometimes with these, just because it's a bit of a logistical nightmare to be able to do it. However, this next one they have tried and they raved about, and I've heard from some of our friends and colleagues over in Alberta that have already tried this one. Apparently, this next whiskey is outstanding, so I'm very much looking forward to it. I also love the name. This one is Furtive Gherkin. The panel were immediately plunged into scrubbing an old barbecue grill, but on the side were lemons, buttery samphire, tangy pickles and chutney, and crackers with sea salt and black pepper. We also got whiffs of smoked ham and a summery coastal tang. Reduction brought out delicate threads of smoke, distant beach bonfire embers, engine oil and kippers smashed onto toasted brioche. Good lord.
Smashed kippers.
All right.
Look in those biscuits you were talking about. They're the pepper and...
I'm a fan of tangy pickles.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
It's really coastal then.
Oh, yeah. Oily and coastal is the flavor profile on this one. When neat, the palate was sweetly lemony and smoky with fish pate, pickled cornichons, charred fennel, jalapenos in brine, and clam broth. Water added layers of texture and thickness in the mouth while bringing out gristy porridge notes, other elements including lavender honey and a gherkin lurking in a dirty martini.
A gherkin lurkin.
A lurkin gherkin. That would have been a better name, I think. I mean, furtive gherkin's fun, but
Yeah,
a lurkin gherkin.
A lurkin gherkin. I like the.
Bottled for the Highland Whiskey Festival 2024. My God, we're actually getting something from one of this year's whiskey festivals. Normally, we're a year behind for the whiskey festival.
I would guess, and we live at the end of the world, right?
Yeah, which has its downsides and its ups. So
Learn how to pour.
on the downside, we're often the last place to get things, but on the upside, we're often the last place to still have things. So
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at things.
Slancher. Oh my!
Wow, that's Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, Highland Whiskey. This is from First Fill Ex-Bourbon barrels, aged for 8 years, from the 11th of September 2015. An outturn on this one of 1,764 bottles, because this is not a single cask, this is a small batch of probably 5 or 6 casks. An ABV of 62.4, and it's from Distillery 149. So guessing from the number there, it's one of the newer distilleries, if you're guessing, and you would be correct. It is Scottish, though. I know a lot of the high numbers were started to venture out to Swedish whiskies and things, but...
Salmon, not kipper.
Salmon, not kipper?
Yeah,
Alright.
that's what I'm kind of... Maybe with that smoked ham.
Oh. It does remind me of those tinned pilchards I used to have as a kid, though.
Okay.
Yeah. You, like, mash them up with... Like,
Yeah.
come in tomato sauce, you mash them up and put them on toast.
Totally. Well, I just asked my mom the other day. She loves paste sandwich. I'm like, Mom, do you want the sardine? Because I was buying her the tuna one. And she's like, oh, I like sardine.
Oh, man. That is,
that would go amazing with like charcuterie.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
with a side, with a little, some
Absolutely.
crackers and like a cripper and some of the pickles.
where was this Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, no doubt. When we had that, yeah, that would go with a little platter like that.
Yeah. It'd be good with like a dry English cheese, like a Wensleydale or something.
Total. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
That would go
smells
fantastic
incredible.
with food.
Yeah.
Like this would be a real food.
And it smells, I mean, it's very much oily and coastal. That's the profile, but it smells lightly peated as well.
Yeah, but it doesn't, like you said, slightly, it doesn't overpower. It sort of
No.
accentuates the...
Yeah, peat is there, but it's playing second fiddle to the oiliness.
Totally.
Man, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
if you're a fan of like tinned fish or something, like,
Mm.
like all that, the Spanish tinned, that would go...
Oh, I think I found the gherkin.
Oh,
There's a
there's a little
there's a
something at the end
little
there.
like sour vinegary thing right at the
That's
end
just
of the
right
palate there. It's like,
thing.
oh shit!
It's
I
the
found
lurkin gherkin.
It's the lurkin
It was
gherkin.
the lurkin gherkin, yeah.
Or maybe a caper actually.
Caperberry or caper.
Mhm.
Yeah, something like that. Cool.
Mm.
Let's open
That
this
is
up. And
glorious.
that was way better than I was a little, me, I'm a little scared of the
Mm.
oily smoke because I like the...
It's the whiskey asterisk, and it's weird. It's got let's say it's got engine oil, but in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when you say creosote and tar and all that kind of stuff, and people are like, really?
Sounds
Or
great.
like in wine when you're like, oh, it's got a bit of, that tar. What?
Or barnyardy qualities.
Ooh, yeah, I love the barnyard saddle.
So this one's got a really interesting water story, actually. It sources its water from the Glenmore River, which is soft and lightly peated, although peatiness in the water apparently doesn't really have any impact at all. But it's kind of fun. It makes it feel natural and rugged. And it's an important river because not only does it supply the water for this distillery, it also supplies 100% of the electricity. They use hydroelectric generators on the river to power the
That's
place.
awesome.
Yeah. It's one of the most remote distilleries in Scotland. I think it's on the mainland, but I think, if I remember correctly, I think the next closest distillery to it is actually on the Isle of Skye. I think Tasker is the closest distillery, even though it's on the mainland. Great distillery. And again, blending ingredients, that's kind of the secondary trivia of today. This is a brand new distillery. It's only been around for like 10 or so years. But
It's a baby.
yeah, but it's already found a place in the blending market. McLean's Nose, which actually came second in our bargain whiskey tournament recently of whiskies under $75. McLean's Nose is predominantly this distillery. It is Ardnamurchan. Ardnamurchan, which is owned, of course, by Adelphi. McLean's Nose was actually, I don't know if you're familiar with Ralphie, the whiskey reviewer on YouTube.
No, didn't you show me? Is that the guy who throws the...
no,
that's okay,
that's the nose.
Oh, yeah.
No, Ralphie's a very I feel like curmudgeon's the right word. But
That's a good word.
He's a guy holed up in a room drinking whiskey alone on YouTube. He's great.
Okay.
But yeah, he started doing a whiskey of the year thing, and McLean's Nose was his pick for last year.
Okay.
He's got 4 more followers than my channel, so shout out to Ralphie. Yeah, what a glorious whiskey. Ardnamurchan are just surprising to me. Like they make incredibly good peated whiskey, and I was a little bit worried the first time I had one of their unpeated whiskeys, because I was like, young unpeated whiskey often doesn't quite punch the same way. Like peated whiskey works really well at a young age because the peat is the power, and it's hard to get much flavor in 5 years from an unpeated whiskey.
Yeah.
But even their unpeated stuff has been fabulous. We had one that was a ex-champagne cask, their Paul Noir release, which was gorgeous. Actually, I have a super secret bottle down here.
Super secret.
I'll let you try some of this later if you want. It looks like a normal Ardnamurchan. I just randomly, I forgot I even had this. It just lives below my desk because I have someone in mind who I'm going to give it to. But you might notice it says there's a little M written on the back. This is actually a cask sample that the guys from Ardnamurchan brought to Victoria Whiskey Festival to share with some industry friends. This is the first ever mezcal cask Ardnamurchan. And they just drew it out of the cask. It's not been released. Well, it might have been by now, but it certainly wasn't back in January.
And you've had it?
Yeah. I can try it later if you want.
Does it have a nice little? Does it have a little vegetable note?
It does. Yeah, it's peppery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So yeah, I mean, Ardnamurchan, new distillery, trying new things, but not afraid to play the blending game as well. And this is just phenomenal. We got 2 cases of this one because I knew it was going to be good. It came highly recommended. 219.91 if there are any left.
Yeah, I think that one will go quick.
I think so. It just hits so many sweet spots. It's unique. It's interesting. It is a little bit
fishies
peated.
and pickles swimming in really clean water.
Roll mops.
Yeah.
It's like roll mops.
Those are the ones.
Yeah, with the pickled herring.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, now it's like it goes with charcuterie and it goes with Swedish smorgasbord, like the open face sandwich or something like that with the herring and the,
Oh, love it. All right, well that
is such a foodie one.
It is, and it's quite a surprising placement as well. I have a feeling our friends at Kensington Wine Market might have chosen the order because they like to play around with it. Because we're going from like a maritime-y, lightly peated thing back to the mainland. We're back to Speyside next, actually. From the Deep, Rich and Dried Fruits collection, we're going to the Drum Major's Dram. We arrived at the Highland Games, the arena surrounded by blooming heather. The floral aroma intermingled with the beer-simmered grilled sausages and venison burgers. The robust palate delivered sticky barbecue ribs as well as steak and ale pie. Diluted, the opening march with the old drum major leading the massed pipe band into the arena was truly spectacular. As he demonstrated his mace flourish skills. At the end of the performance, we saw him taking a large gulp from his leather hip flask. Good man. After 13 years in a bourbon hogshead, we transferred this whiskey into a first fill barrique from a privately owned small bodega, now in its 9th generation, that focuses exclusively on the Pedro Jimenez grape.
Yum.
Yeah. Alrighty. Want to do the honors?
I'm excited.
Yeah,
what was the pie that you said?
Steak and ale.
Steak and ale.
Steak and ale. Classic. Yeah. It's one thing that's really not taken off in North America as much. It's the old meat pies. We need a Greg's here in Victoria.
Oh, I was talking about Mom and Dad. When I went to visit them yesterday, I was talking about Greg's, and my mom's like, oh, and, I just kind of like sparked nostalgia with her. And and then we had to look it up, and then we had to show my dad, and so like,
steak bake.
Yeah, what we want. But it was like you were saying that you took your partner, and she had her first recent. Right?
Yeah. The first thing she ever ate in Europe was a sausage bean steak slice from.
What are things to start with? Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good meaty nose. So Ben Rinnes is one of those distilleries that's known to be quite meaty. It starts off quite sulfuric, and as those sulfur notes dissipate through aging, it just morphs into this. It's very much like Mortlock. It has that sort of beef brothy thing going for it.
And that terrified me when I first started drinking. Like, why would I want to drink meat? Why would that, like, what's going on?
What's wrong with Bovril?
Bovril. It was like the bacon notes that,
Oh, it smells of honey as well. So Speyside ex-bourbon hogshead finished in a first fill XPX ex-bodega barrique, and we'll get into that in a second. 16 years of age. 22nd of August 2006, coming out at 58.1% alcohol, and they got 207 bottles. It's cask number 36.207, Drum Major's Dram.
Man, I'm being spoiled right now.
God, that is a bloody good whiskey. Yeah, that is quite glorious. So the ex-bodega barrique is an interesting thing, and we'll learn more about that on the 10th of October when we do our SMWS sherry event. But yeah, it's the idea that this is not just a cask that's previously contained sherry for seasoning effect, or it's not even an old school transportation cask. This is a cask that's actually used to mature and produce sherry in Jerez in Spain. And particularly from this one small bodega, which I remember doing the research of and finding out the name, but I forgot to write it down apparently. But yeah, it's there is a sherry producer, a bodega in Spain that only produces Pedro Jimenez, which was originally a grape from France. Do you know that? That apparently Pedro Jimenez.
No, I didn't.
Legend has it. This has not been fully proven, but legend has it was a guy called Peter Simon, who from France, or Peter Simon, I guess, who brought this grape down to Spain from France, and they just named the grape after him when he got there.
I had
Pedro Jimenez,
no
Peter
idea.
Simon. Yeah.
I'd never heard that.
And yeah, they decided to start using it for sherry production. Yeah, this is very nice. Yeah, all right. So the water source for this distillery is a pair of burns that flow down from its namesake mountain. This is Ben Rinnes, or of course Mount Rinnes. This is whoa, my handwriting really needs some work. Suran? Suiran.
Suiran and Rowan Tree?
Suiran and Rowan Tree. Yeah, definitely Rowan Tree.
Rowan Tree, yeah.
I need to work on my penmanship. This
They
naturally
make
soft
candy.
water... Yeah, they do. This naturally soft water helps to create a bold style. So it allows the big, rich, meaty flavors to take hold.
Lots of raisin. Lots of...
Burnt honey, that's what I'm getting on the nose. Yeah. Like making a creme brulee but with honey instead of sugars. That's absolutely glorious. Yeah, Ben Rinnes.
I'm being spoiled.
Fantastic distillery. It's again part of the Johnny Walker family, also used in J&B. I got asked. I was filling these water jugs down at the bar earlier, and I got asked where I got them from. The bartender was very curious, and my reply was Edinburgh. And I was like, "What street's that on?" Like,
oh, the youth of today.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of whiskey I would sneak into the Highland Games in a hip flask. Not that I would ever do that. Anyone who works at Highland Games, a Highland Games, not the Victoria one. I abide by all liquor rules. Yeah. But yeah, it does feel like a good hip flask dram, like a good hiking dram. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the rules are on the West Coast Trail, but I feel like you're unlikely to get caught if you took a hip flask on it.
Well, you just don't want to trip and
fall
in there and get out there. Maybe go on the Gowland Todd Range or something, where a little closer to the civilization.
You could always claim though that you're using it as a fire starter if it's high proof enough. Yeah.
And what was the proof on this one?
58.1. So yeah, still up there. After 16 years, that's quite high. Again, if there are any bottles left, this is available right now at strathliquor.com/SMWS. It is $259.04. And at this point, I should mention our friends across the pond. If we don't have any left, please, your first port of call should be Legacy over in Vancouver. They will hopefully be able to help you out if you're not able to get it from the Strath. And then if it's completely gone from BC, you can always try Alberta, but that's... a little harder, little more difficult to get the whiskey over here, but sometimes you got to make it happen. All right,
I'm always going to encourage BC over Alberta.
Absolutely. Next up, we have a trip to the underwater barbecue. Yeah, I'm excited about this one too.
Okay.
This small batch blended malt was created by bringing together the worlds of bourbon and Oloroso cask maturation, along with spirit from the islands of Orkney and Islay. There are Spanish and American oak influences in here that complement the savory smoke, leaving a post-barbecue glow. A gustatory dram sure to delight peat heads and foodies alike. This had a bountiful aroma at first, one chock full of smoke-laced flowers, licorice, smouldering heather, sweeter sherry impressions, and singed orange peel. We also found deeper tones of barbecue smoke, coconut shavings, sunscreen, and silky trails of distant peat smoke. Waterport, wet moss, sandalwood, shoreline freshness, wet seaweed, and wood-smoked ham. Let's pause for the pop. It ain't gonna pop itself.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just, yeah.
Thanks. The palate, neat, balanced sweetness and salinity very evenly, with rich umami broths, charred shellfish, dark chocolate-coated stem ginger, salted caramel, and smoked butter. Oh, I love smoked butter. With reduction came seawater, soy sauce, peat embers, cloves, and fragrant wood smoke from a beach bonfire. Lovely. Alrighty. So we have a little bit of extra information. So you might notice it's a clear bottle. This is part of the Heresy range. This is when the SMWS breaks its own rules. So this is a blended malt. It's not just from one distillery. It's also 50% alcohol. They've reduced it. I love this series. It's when the SMWS gets truly very playful. But this is a particularly special one. This is batch 24, but it pays homage to some of the previous batches. I'm going to pop the lid on before that goes all over the table.
Sorry.
There you were.
Yeah.
There we go. Protect the whiskey at all costs.
Well, I just love that label.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Underwater Barbecue, the latest in the Heresy range, shares some of the same liquid as previous Heresy releases. An excerpt from May's Unfiltered article about the Underwater Barbecue says this. While a few Orcadian bourbon barrels certainly give American oak presence, think coconut-scented sunscreen and vanilla, the Maniac cask influence comes from spices and Andalusian wines. Strong sherry and Spanish oak influences showcase what the ministrations of this cask type and time can achieve. Overall, though, the American oak helps balance the spicier tannic temperament, taming things with creamy texture and extra sweetness. If you think back to earlier years in this range, you might remember Battle Axe. I remember Battle Axe strongly. That was the first heavily peated SMWS Heresy range blended malt. Not all of the blended malts used to make Battle Axe went into it. And some of it went on to then create the tar pit. And then not all of the blended malt went into the tar pit. Some of that then went on to create Smokus Fruticocus. Remember that one with the purple label?
Yes.
Last year, yeah. And then again, not all of the peated malt that was set aside for Smokus Fruticocus actually got put into it. Some of it was then set aside for this. So this has a legacy of previous Heresy ranges that all went into it. Much like the kind of thing that Compass Box does now as well. Like the most recent Flaming Heart has some of the Peat Monster Arcana in it, and so they're starting to build blends out of the blends, which is super cool. Really looking forward to trying this one. It's 12 years old as well. It does have an age statement from the 27th of April 2011. 2,505 bottles came out of this one, and I should say, because it's a blended malt, 12 years is just the age of the youngest component. There may well be older whiskey in here as well.
I think it's really interesting that you were saying that it's got all the other components, and those other ones have really interesting names, like Tar Pit.
Yeah, the Tar Pit was fun.
They kind of scare you off, but
Battle Axe.
Yeah.
I loved the whiskey Battle Axe. I have to admit, I didn't really like the label much.
Oh yeah. No,
this label is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice robust nose, and then it totally comes. Oh.
If this did have a flavor profile, they don't tend to put flavor profiles when it's a blended malt like this, but if this did, this is definitely in the lightly peated, maybe even regularly peated sort of level. But it's got the peat doesn't outstay its welcome. It kind of drops off.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, totally.
The flavor lingers, but the smoke disappears quite quickly.
It's like going through the campfire to the goods.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're going through the smoke, and then you're getting into the.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like that's that coal walking thing where you've got to take your shoes off and run over the hot coals as quickly as you can. And you get to the other side.
Always that one person that gets stuck where you sit at the campfire and it's always like the smoke's in your face.
Oh yeah,
the whole time.
I'm got
it like it blew by me. I was lucky enough. It's over somewhere else now, right?
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of like wet blanket as well. It's very camping.
Totally yeah. Well, what were they saying? What was the wet sog or the no?
Oh, wet moss.
Wet moss.
And
yeah.
seaweed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Orange is a good call. I'm definitely getting sort of oranginess to it. The same kind of oranginess I get in like Old Grandad bourbon.
This will be very interesting opening up.
Yeah.
After that,
It's always interesting adding water to a whiskey that's already been brought down to 50. It's kind of sometimes a little easy to go overboard, but it's got a lot of viscosity to it, though. If you pour the water in and look, it's like, it goes real hazy.
What are they? Well, fancy people call it legs or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, even after a decent amount of water, it's got a lot of viscosity to it.
I find, like you're saying, that orange peel, that orange note comes through.
Yeah.
But the peat's still there, and the smoke, is still there, but it's not like before. It's more balanced, I find now.
And it's definitely more wood smoke as well. That's very pleasant. Again, this is one of the releases we managed to get 2 cases of. So if you are interested in this one, the odds are slightly higher that there might be some left at strathliquor.com/SMWS.
A little bit of Terry's chocolate orange. Ooh. There's this little...
In the words of the great Dawn French in her Terry's Chocolate Orange advertising campaign, it's not Terry's, it's mine.
Oh.
But yeah, this is available...
Mine, you can't have it.
This is available for $191.22. A steal of a deal.
I was about to agree with, I totally agree with you. That is not an unreasonable price for what they've got in that bottle.
Yeah, that was very well put together. Yeah. At the time of recording, it's currently Wednesday. Just been liquor load day, so this is Brian's reward for shifting boxes all day. And tomorrow
I'm a little tuckered, but not too tuckered to do this.
No, I feel like that we should have our own version of Cockney rhyming slang. If you're tuckered, you're Michelle'd.
Yeah. Cheat like that. Yeah.
It's a local whiskey rep.
Yeah, totally. She's awesome too. Yeah.
But yeah, so tomorrow night, at time of recording, is our SMWS dinner, where we'll be having a fun experience, pairing some whiskies with some food and having the Outturn at the same time. I think this is going to go around really well. I think people are in for delay. I think everyone's going to get spoiled tomorrow. I think so.
The way we're,
Yeah. And there's still 3 whiskeys to go, Brian. No, 2
2
whiskeys. 2
Don't be
whiskeys to
scaring me.
All right.
Because I'm getting a nice glow. I'm tired, and this is this is fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
So next up we have Toronto Pronto.
Oh, wow. I lived in Toronto for a while. I went to university there. I don't miss the city so much, but I do miss the culture and the food and the people.
Well, it's all right. This one's not named for the city, but for the cocktail Toronto. Are you familiar with the cocktail Toronto?
No, I've never.
It's 2 parts rye. So 2 ounces of rye, half an ounce of Fernet Branca, half an ounce of simple syrup, and bitters, I think.
Fernet Branca. It's got that interesting
almost minthy.
Yeah. No cenote, which I like to go to once in a while. They do a special on that on Sundays. Nice. But they say that's a drink for San Francisco bartenders, right? Yeah.
Beauty. All right, Toronto Pronto. A bright, deep red henna color greeted the panel, and the nose was dark, rich, sweet, and most unusual. One panelist described it as salt sprinkled over the top of a hot, soft pretzel. Ooh. Others mentioned cinder toffee, candied walnuts, and peanut brittle bars. On the palate, we found salted caramel, roasted peanuts, and umami-like miso soup with a touch of Spanish oxtail soup.
Ooh, who doesn't love oxtail?
Oh, man.
If you don't like oxtail...
Get out of here.
Yeah.
After reduction, we had more of the same, along with even more intense gooey brownies, chocolate-coated raisins, and balsamic glazed ham.
Look at that color.
Whoa!
Look at that color.
Holy jeebus. All right. The taste was simply sensational. Sweet and dry, but at the same time with the subtle herbal bitterness found in a cocktail called Toronto. Following 9 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead, we transferred this whiskey into a first-fill Muscat Reef Salt Barrique.
A what?
Yeah, a Muscat Reef Salt Barrique. So it's a sweet French dessert wine.
No, I know, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the first time we've ever had this type of cask in the SMWS. The only time I think I've ever come across it in BC for a whiskey is, remember those Bunnahavens that we had? Sorry, not Bunnahaven, Bruichladdich that we have? The Talent. Yeah, one of those is a resalt cask.
Yeah.
That's literally the only one I think I've ever seen.
I am excited.
Yeah, me too. Chin chin.
Cheers.
Oh my.
Oh, this is my wheelhouse.
Oh, I do declare. Okay. So it's another space cider. This is ex-bourbon to start, first fill muscat, Riesalt, barrique to finish. 12 years total. It was distilled on the 18th of March 2010 with an outturn of 258 bottles that came out at 57.9% alcohol, and this is cask number 41.160.
Totally my favorite so far. So like they've all been great, but this is such my jam. This is such my jam.
The nose is bringing back one very, very wonderful memory from my university days.
Tell me.
So there is, in Edinburgh, where I went to university, there is a little area called the Grass Market.
Okay.
And there's a fish and chip shop in the Grass Market that famously used to, you could bring any candy bar that you like, or chocolate bar, as I called them at the time.
Yeah.
For 50 pence, they would batter it and deep fry it for you.
I'm scared. I will never do that. That's not, but that scares me because I don't even really eat. I could have one bite maybe, and then I would go into sugar shock.
Yeah,
right?
it's quite something.
So what bar would you pick?
Crunchy.
So do they have crunchies in England? They do, right? And they're called Violet Crumbles in Australia.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is
a crunchy bar,
a battered,
eh?
deep fried crunchy bar.
Wow. And I've had a crunchy, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned sponge toffee in here, which might have influenced me a little bit. But it's totally a battered, deep fried crunchy bar in old oil that's been frying chips.
Oh, it should. Yeah, but old oil. That's where all the flavor is, right? So that's the color of the oil they should be cooking it in, right?
Yeah.
That's
damn right. Oh my, that is quite something. Wow. I've never had something that is simultaneously so sweet and savory.
For a guy who I don't like sweets, this is a bomb. This is so good.
It feels like, remember, they had a show in the UK.
Just take this bottle and go have a little time with it. Yeah.
They had a show in the UK when I was growing up called Gladiator, which is just come back on. I think there was an American Gladiator.
Yeah,
version.
where they just go whack each other.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Just give each other funny names.
This feels like that game where they stand on one of those like thin bridges with those like giant like cotton swab things.
Oh yeah. God,
it feels like
big Q-tips and they're just like banging each other.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We've got sweet on one side, salty on the other, just going like this and trying to like fall off the bridge.
You're so right, and it's like it punches you both ways.
Yeah,
right. You're getting a punch,
and then just on the back palate after that intense battle, there's this little creepy bitter note that's coming up, and like it feels like there's actually it's a three-way fight, and there's actually one person like hanging underneath the bridge, grabbing them by the ankles.
That's the troll.
Yeah, it's a bitter troll.
Nice. There's a troll under there. Yeah. Oh my goodness! I could just sit and smell this for like. You want to wake up in the morning and put yourself in a good mood? Just sniff this.
All right. Are you finding anything in common with that Ben Rinnes that we had earlier, the Drum Major's Dram?
Some of the notes, but I find this way more, like, you know what I mean? Where more rounded on my tongue, more sugared, sort of like a bit of a bigger blast. Like there are notes, but
there's definitely
this
a lot
has
more
just
flavor
got
coming
like
on,
such a punch. Like you were saying, we're just getting hit.
The reason I ask is because the water from this distillery is sourced from the Carron Burn, which is also from Ben Rinnes Mountain.
Oh, okay. It's like other side, the south,
east
or something?
This is only a mile away from Ben Rinnes.
Okay.
This distillery. This is Dalyuen. Again, used in Johnny Walker and J&B, but it's also used in VAT 69 and White Horse.
Okay. Oh, you could... I don't know if you like that term, but you could spread this on toast and just... Just like...
You can pour this on pancakes.
Oh. This is the bomb. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
Thank you.
I'm glad you can make it.
Oh, this made my day.
That is powerful. And water doesn't make it less powerful. It just makes more of it. It's magic.
This, with a fantastic book, just, I don't know if you're cat people or not, but with your cat on your lap, that sort of just bringing it down.
I'm not really much of a book reader. I wish I was, but
I do be liking me to read.
Yeah, I mean, I like reading nonfiction. Like I'll read like history books and things.
Yeah, you were reading. Weren't you reading the Strath book?
Yeah. There's a book all about Lord Strathcona. It's It's interesting.
And I'm reading Andrew's lent me some pirate books, but they tell like a story, even though they're the truth, right?
Nice.
So yeah.
But one thing I do like to do in my downtime, which is something I love to do whilst drinking whiskey now, is doing Sudokus. Yeah. Do a Sudoku and a whiskey on a Sunday afternoon.
I'm a logic problem kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Oh man. But yeah, this is wonderful. So
okay, this is going home with me.
I've got little jars.
Yeah.
So I do have only one case of this coming in, so it might
jump
well be
on
sold
it,
out.
folks.
Yeah.
Just
if it's not sold out by the time this video goes out, A, I'll be incredibly surprised, and B, you'll find it at strathliquor.com for $189.48, which means that this is eligible for a new membership. Because any whiskey that's over $180, if you've never been a member before, you get a trial membership by buying that whiskey. This is, I would say, one of the best possible ways to become a member to the SMWS.
Hands down. This was a thing of beauty. Absolute intense. Thing of beauty.
You know what? And I've got video evidence of this. I so very rarely finish my drams and these things. Yep. Like I get a lot of whiskey comes my way. If I drink all of it, I'm gonna be 6 feet under. But I'm finishing this one.
I'm not, because I want to have a sip of it after this.
Oh, that is absolutely outstanding.
That's one of the best things I've had that's crossed my palate since I started working here. That thing's amazing.
All right.
Oh, I don't know if we can finish with something after that.
Well, here we go, because this next one is from one of my favorite distilleries, and it is one of the oldest whiskeys I will have ever had from said distillery. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Cool.
This next one is Smoke Devil Marries a Delicate Sweet Thing. The nose was a marriage between delicate sweetness, chocolate, candy floss, and burnt custard tarts, and a more muscular smoke devil, dying bonfire embers, and fish smokehouses. Things were similar on the palate, as we found chocolate honeycomb bars, Parma violets, and sugar-coated fennel seeds on the sweet side, but the smoke, soot, and ash was somewhat more subdued than expected. Neat. The reduced nose conjured tarry driftwood and old Spanish galleons, coal cellars, and Chinese roast duck. The palate had blackcurrant and lemongrass, humbugs, aniseed, and ginger, smoked trout pate, and twigs dipped in tar and honey. Following 14 years in ex-bourbon wood, this was transferred into a second fill Spanish oak Oloroso hogshead. We're talking peat and sherry for the finale here today. This is a Highland single malt. It was aged for 17 years, distilled on the 21st of March 2006, an outturn of 260 bottles, coming out at an ABV of 54.4%, and it is distillery code 122.64. Smoke Devil marries a delicate sweet thing. Alrighty.
There was a note here that I was like, it just sounds like an old telephone pole that they, like, you know what I mean? Because they treat those.
Conjured tarry driftwood.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So it's like, they
tossed a lot of telephone poles. Yeah, totally. Alrighty, well, I'm going to open this.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm so excited and I'm so tired.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm more than happy to do the honors. All right.
Thank you. I'll get better if I do this again, folks. I promise.
Is this your way of getting an invite? All right.
Yeah. Always room to improve.
Absolutely. Especially if, like me, you're willing to admit that you're wrong. Water does impact a whiskey, and I'm... Well,
this has been this has been great. This has been interesting about learning about, water sources too, because it's like more ingredients are interesting, all that kind of stuff, right?
And to be fair, it's not like a leading thing in the flavor of whiskey, but it does impact it.
Yeah. All right.
That's a fun nose. Yeah, it's like someone set, that soap place, Lush?
Mm-hmm.
It's like someone set one of those on fire.
That's a great analogy.
Getting all these interesting herb and spice and floral notes, but
with
on fire.
It's on fire. Not a dumpster fire, but
a Lush fire.
Yeah, you're right. Well, maybe we went to the heather field and just scorched it. With, you know what I mean? The blowtorch. And then just kind of walked through it and went,
One of Elon Musk's blowtorches.
Not a fan.
Technically not a flamethrower.
Yeah.
What an idiot. been many
Yeah.
years since I had Chinese roast duck, and I'm not sure I'm finding it, but I
have
definitely want to.
And how old did you say that?
17.
17.
Yeah.
And it's the oldest you've tried of...
I think it's the oldest I've tried of this style from this
Okay.
distillery. This distillery makes several different styles of whiskey. Mm. Mm. Twiglets.
I'm not a huge fan of
Yeah.
Twiglets, though.
Fair.
Like, you know, maybe have a couple and then you're just... For me, but because, you know, I'm on North American palate, right?
Yeah, you're
So,
not really
like,
used to the Marmite of it all.
No,
Yeah.
and I was about to say, it's that Marmite that we don't really do out here unless we have relatives, like my mom, but as a kid, you'd be like, I don't want
How's
that.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my buddy down the street, he was Australian, his dad was Australian, so it was always like the Vegemite, and he loved the Vegemite, right? And we'd always be like, you know, you're in grade 5, 6, and he's like slathering it on toast, and you're just like, bleh.
I love how in Australia they like Vegemite is also like a slang term for kids. Like, oh,
Yeah.
he's a happy little Vegemite.
Yeah.
You know what's
we call them chiclets.
you know what Vegemite was originally called? This is one of my favorite pieces of trivia from my days at Te Papa Tongarewa, the National Museum of New Zealand.
Okay.
Because they have a version of Marmite in New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
But in Australia, when Vegemite first launched, it was called Parwill. And it was a pun. Because their advertising campaign was Marmite, but Parwill.
That's okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Which kind of went over everyone's head, so they renamed it Vegemite. That is glorious.
Yeah, you're right with the Twiglets because it's got that, you know, the
and almost the Mr. Bean style Twiglets, to be honest, as well. You know, there's a Christmas special Mr. Bean episode where he's got a lady friend coming round and he's scrambling to put together like snacks, and he doesn't have anything ready, so he just grabs a branch from out of his window and snaps twigs off and dunks them in Marmite, puts them on a plate. Yeah, there's certainly a woodiness happening too.
Yes.
Yeah. So the water from this distillery, it is sourced from one of Scotland's biggest freshwater lochs. Though it is considered soft, the water is a higher than usual amount of calcium and magnesium than is normally found in whiskies, which often give it a slight bitter flavour on the aftertaste. That might have given it away. This is a Loch Lomond. And this is one of the Loch Lomond peated expressions known in-house as Crofton G or Crofton Gayer. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it because I've heard it pronounced both ways by Scottish people, so they can't decide amongst themselves.
Ours is 8 years. And do we have another expression in the store right now?
We have the Loch Lomond 12, yeah.
The 12,
yeah.
okay.
And I've had some grain whiskey from Loch Lomond that's been much older, and I think I've had a Loch Lomond single malt that's around 21 from the SMWS, but I don't think I've ever had anything peated this old.
Okay.
Which is super cool. Again, Loch Lomond is used for blending. However, not by any of the major blending houses. You won't find Loch Lomond, normally at least, in things like Bells or Dewars or Ballantines, because they mostly do in-house blending. There is Loch Lomond blended, basically a single blend, because they make the grain and the malt in-house, but they also make a blend called High Commissioner, and they will sell on occasion to independent bottlers who have small blends as well. So it might be in things like, I don't know, like the Adelphi Dancy Man, for example, might have some Loch Lomond in those kind of malts. Those kind of blends, sorry. Yeah, this is a fun experience. This is lovely. Having a 17-year-old peated whiskey that's still this peaty after 17 years. They classify it as lightly peated. I would tend to disagree. I think this is just straight up peated, personally.
Okay. And for a guy that doesn't really... I'm not like a huge peat, you know what I mean? I'm more like... I don't find it... I find it very approachable.
So you think they hit
the
nail on the head with lightly peated?
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? Like, not so much lightly, but like, for me, it's completely approachable still. Like, it's not hitting me where I'm like, and with water, I think even it's gonna like, you know.
And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that it's a Highland peat. Terroir in whiskey is always a tricky thing. Maybe I'll get proved wrong with terroir like I have with water, but I really don't think it really matters that much where the barley's grown. But one thing that does matter is where the peat's sourced, because peat is very different from place to place, and Highland peat is very different to Island peat.
I 100 million% agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of this is it has a little bit more of that woody bonfireness because it's a Highland peat.
Well, when I first got into it, like you were saying, like to me it was all Highlands, right? It was like baby. To me, I always called it baby Scotch because it was like so approachable and floral, and it wasn't all those other notes, which after working here with this man, I appreciate so much more.
Thanks.
No, well, I do. I mean, you open up so much to us, and you're so generous with us with your knowledge, right? And like when I first started, like remember I used to insist go stand next to Adam when he's talking.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
So we can listen to what he's saying.
So some of the old staff members took that a little too literally and would like cling to me in a weird,
they're a
creepy
little,
way. But...
a little like, oh hi,
what are you doing there, buddy?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's appreciated. That's one of the things that I really love about our team right now is that every single person on our team in the store is willing to learn and has like an understanding. They've all got the basic understanding of Scotch down, and they all have their little niches that they're into, and everyone's willing to learn and grow with it, which is super nice. Yeah. All right. Well, if you would like to buy a bottle of this, well, again, we only got one case, so there might not be any left, but you might be in luck. Hit up strathliquor.com/SMWS, and you might be able to buy this for $303.39.
What are you getting with the touch of water?
Good question. Fruitiness that wasn't there before. Almost, not a banana, but like a banana peel. You know, like the white sort of powdery stuff on the inside of a banana peel?
Which can be a little bit... Astringent isn't the word I'm looking for, but like it's not lovely, but it's not dislovely at the same time.
I'm getting a little hit of that, but also slightly more like mango-y tropical things too.
Yes. I got the banana on the nose there, but maybe almost like that banana candy, which I'm not fond of those, but you've been liking them, Mars. I know you do.
Yeah, we found a source of those locally. Oh, they're good.
Yeah. I think we've been eating a little too much banana or the candy at work.
I think so. Well, that was lovely. Yeah. So if you aren't able to buy one of these at the Strath, don't worry. Still head to strathliquor.com/SMWS, because that's also where you can buy the tickets for next month's tastings and be first in line to pick up the bottles that you love. That is the best way to make sure you go home with the best bottles. Come to the tasting events, where you might also not only fall in love with some bottles, but I mean, probably not fall in love with some people, but at least make some new friends. Hey, maybe we have actually had a couple of people meet their partners at these events. So I'm not going to say you're going to meet the love of your life, but hey, there's a chance.
Need someone to love.
You might meet the whiskey love of your life. But tickets are available for the October Outturns right now, as well as if the tickets for our special events aren't up yet, they will be very, very soon. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about here today, feel free to drop us a comment. And even if you don't have any questions, maybe you only have comments. Well, the comment section is great for comments, I hear. So if you have any comments and you just want to say hi, drop us a note in the comment section below, or send me an email. whiskey@strathliquor.com is the best way to get to me. And thank you very much to Brian for joining me today.
I had a great time.
Excellent.
I had an awesome time. Great way to end my shift.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
All right.
Thank you.
See you guys next month.
In the lowlands of the east there lived a boy who was coming of age. He spent his days in his father's field learning the farming trade. He asked one day, "Father, why must I tend the corn?" His father said, "That's the way it's been for all the sons newborn." And at that point the boy looked down and he saw the mud on his shoes. And he felt a pain that for the rest of his days he'd be laboring away his blues. He knew there was a world beyond his father's golden land, and he swore he'd be the first of the sons to rest his working hand. The boy stood firm and he said to his father, "I must not leave this world, having only seen the 2 cornfields that made our family's worth." And then his father said, "Let me tell you what my father told me. Make friends with the land, my boy, and you shall truly be free." And at that point the boy looked down and he saw the mud on his shoes. And he felt a pain that for the rest of his days he'd be laboring away his blues. He knew there was a world beyond his father's golden land, and he swore he'd be the first of the sons to rest his working hand. Despite the wise words of his father ringing out loud and clear, the whisper of the dusty trail was louder in his ear. So as he turned to shake his father's earth-stained hands, he said farewell to the endless hours of working the land. And the days went by and the boy forgot the sight and the mud on his shoes. And he lived a life so rich and full, he thought he was rid of those blues. He knew there was a world beyond his father's golden land, and he swore he'd be the first of the sons to rest his working hand. Come back, his mother cried, your father can't remain the keeper of the land, my boy, for he has succumbed to pain. No longer can his old limbs push the plough. We are praying every day that you will be homeward bound. And at that point the boy looked up and he knew that he must return. Thought to lose in the land and his father made his stomach churn. He'd had his fill of the world beyond his father's golden lands, but now he knew he must return to use his working hand. Many suns have set since his father's passing day, and now the boy finds a son of his own, desperate to say, Father, I must leave the land and let my soul be free. I'm afraid, son, what you see before you is your destiny. And at that point the boy looked down and he saw the mud on his shoes, and he felt a pain that for the rest of his days he'd be laboring away